Good afternoon, everybody. Dave Roberts is now available. Please raise your hand if you have a question. All right, Alana, you're up first.
Dave, welcome back. Just the opportunity to be able to lock this thing down tonight. A little help from the Angels would be nice.
Yeah, it will. I thought, you mentioned it a couple of days ago. The series, the road trip was very productive, successful. And this is a very good Oakland A's team that we just don't know a whole lot about. We know a little bit about Frankie. Had him in camp a few years ago. But we got to go out there and play good baseball. And ultimately the goal is to clinch. But whether it's tonight, tomorrow, remains to be seen. But I'm just focused on us, having a good game of baseball tonight.
They've clinched a postseason berth as well. What makes them so dangerous?
They're just on the offensive side, they're a bunch of guys that really take professional bats. They spoil pitches. They run the bases really well. It's a fundamentally sound team. They defend, and they can really pitch. So those guys, there's 4 guys at the back end of the bullpen that have been lights out, and they've got some good arms.
You get Jocko Peterson back off of the family medical emergency list. He's there as your DH. What do you need to see from him tonight?
So it's just Jock not trying to do too much. He's been taking at bats over the last few days here at the ballpark while we were away. It hasn't been the season that he had expected, we had expected out of him. But for us to get him locked in for the postseason is the most important thing right now. So I just expect him to play against the right-handers. I think we got 4 of them this week and kind of get them ramped up for the postseason.
What do you like about the fact that you get Justin Turner's legs back as well as his bat?
Just really checking the next box of making him a full-time player, getting him to defend. And I don't know how much we're going to extend him as far as on the defensive side today. Whether it's 3 at-bats, 5, 6 innings, something like that. I don't really see him playing all 9. Okay. And at some point inserting Eddie Rios to then get Justin back in there tomorrow night to play third base as well.
Finally, for me, Dave, you had mentioned that perhaps this final 6 games of the home standard of the regular season, we're going to start seeing a lineup that we can likely see in the postseason. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, it is. Things can obviously change, but I think right now, with what Chris Taylor's done this year and what he's done in years past, playing against left and right seems to give us the best chance. And obviously AJ's at bats this year against both have been very good. So, things can always change, but I like, the balance in our lineup.
Next question is from Dave Assay. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
I was curious whether or not tonight and tomorrow, Julio and Dustin, respectively, are they going to be abbreviated starts more than usual? How do you plan on mapping this out for the starters the rest of the week?
I think for both those guys, I don't see us abbreviating either one tonight or tomorrow. Now when you're talking about this potentially being Julio's last start, how we use them after that remains to be seen for the rest of the season. But as far as Dustin, I see him taking a regular start and then a start on Sunday. That's more the conversation.
Have you internally had any discussions about how you plan on using Julio after tomorrow?
No, I think a little bit. It's more of having Julio be a part of the conversation as far as, how we want to use him, what he feels comfortable with, what is best for us. And I think that he's earned the right to just be a part of that conversation. So, he's all in for whatever we decide going forward, but I like keeping him involved. But, as a starter, he continues to get better for me in the last couple turns. And then as a reliever, we've seen that where in short spurts, inning or two, to then come back and pitch a day or two later, the value of that. So, we have some good options.
Next question is from Jorge Castillo. Go ahead.
Dave, just going back to the lineup, you mentioned Chris Taylor and A.J. Pollock against left and right. Montes, Frankie has a pretty drastic splits, particularly this season. I'm just wondering do you envision, I guess, maybe not adjusting left against right as much in the postseason as you have in the past with these lineups?
That's fair, yeah, and that's still kind of contingent upon performance. But I think that if you look at the guys in the lineup, our righties are actually not hitting, or actually no one's really hitting left except a couple guys in the lineup. So it's not a platoon situation. It's just guys kind of doing what, they expected themselves. We expected them, but it's not necessarily a very platoon driven lineup. And that's a credit to the guys by being consistent against both.
Okay. And then with Dustin, obviously a guy who throws 99, you expected him to have huge strikeout numbers, but his strikeout numbers aren't through the roof, 6.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Is that a good thing, bad thing? I guess why isn't it higher for a guy who throws that hard?
I think it's more of it's a heavy cutter and sinker ball, so there's a lot of early contact. The variance in velocity with something soft, he really doesn't have a part of his consistent mix. And I think he's gotten better at changing some eye levels against some guys to get swing and miss at the top of the zone. But he's been predominantly a guy that pitches to the bottom of the strike zone versus left and right. And when you do that and you don't really have something to kind of slow the guys down, it's hard to punch guys. So obviously the best thing would be to punch guys, but as long as he can continue to, attack the strike zone, he gives a good chance to get some outs.
Next question is from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, respecting Jock's privacy, has his situation resolved itself to the point where you don't have to worry about losing him for another chunk of time going forward?
I can't say with 100% certainty. Family first, and Jock knows that. His family understands that. I just know that Jock worked real hard to be here with us to finish out this homestand, and I would expect him to be with us through the wild card series. But then after that, I just don't know, Bill.
And going into tonight, you have played exactly one team that currently has a winning record. That's the Padres. What reaction do you have? What should we read into that number, if anything?
Yeah, I don't think there should be a lot to be read into that, because I think if you look around at the National League itself, which we're playing just within our division and kind of geographics to the American League. The National League in particular, there's a lot of teams that are a couple games within each other. So that number of below 500, I think could change in a couple days. And again, we've always kind of focused on us and how we play. And, regardless of who we played before, I'll still take us against any team going forward in the postseason.
We got time for one more. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Dave, today's a big day in Dodger birthdays. Sweet Lou, your bench coach, and, of course, Tommy Lasorda. Any thoughts or wishes for those guys?
Yeah, a happy birthday to all of them. Sweet Lou's one of my favorites. What he does in the community is pretty much unmatched. So happy birthday to Sweet Lou. And Bob, I already gave him grief about his birthday, which he doesn't like any attention. So coaches are on him a little bit. So that's great. And the godfather of the Dodgers, yeah, Tommy Lasorda. I should give him a call today and wish him a happy birthday. So I wish I could put my arms around him, but I know he's going to be with us in spirit tonight. Thanks, guys.